It's our the warning. This is the last show where we will all be together for the year. Last one. Last one. Tomorrow is a scheduled day off for the Odyssey company.
Scheduled day of rest. It's maintenance.
Yeah. It's a maintenance day. Maintenance day. But this is the last day where all of us will be together. So if you get the vibes that today is last day of school and we're just going to run a movie.
You would be correct.
Not intentionally, though.
Speaking of movies.
Yeah.
What's your best, worst, not Christmas movie?
Boy, you are really going to have to explain what that means to me. My best, worst.
Yeah, my head hurts.
Not Christmas movie. Movie.
Elf is a Christmas movie, but Die Hard, is it a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Okay. What's the best, worst, not Christmas movie?
Gremlins.
Okay.
Wow.
That's solid.
I don't know where that came from, but I believe it. Gremlins is the best, worst. Not Christmas movie? Yes, Gremlins. That's what I'm going with right there.
I like it.
I'm going Gremlins just right off the top of the noggin. I'm open to anything else because Die Hard is not a best worst. It's just the best movie.
Yes.
It's just the best movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mother Trucker.
Oh. Do we need to go back to the tape on that?
No, we don't.
One? Okay. Yeah, Gremlins is what I'm going with. What do you got?
I got Batman Returns.
Oh. Okay. I guess it is snowy out, isn't it?
It's snowy out. Yeah, the Penguin.
That's the Penguin, yeah. Old Danny DeVito.
Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Old, Oswald Cobblepot?
Yeah.
That'd be the Penguin?
Yes.
That takes place during Christmas? Okay, yeah. I'm okay. Yep, here for it.
Yep.
Sure. We'll go with that one. Rust, what do you got?
Man.
I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, no, me
Batman
either.
Returns, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of just some other random movie that takes place during Christmas, but isn't... Yeah, I don't know.
Die Hard 2.
You caught me off guard. Which, by the way, probably even with the newer ones, might be the worst of the Die Hard movies.
Die Hard 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
It is not great because they just tried to do same thing.
Yeah.
They went same seats on it and just like, let's grab that money. Yeah.
What about Trading Places?
Which is funny because it also has John Amos, who is from Coming to America with the McDowells. So one ripoff after another.
That's true.
Okay. What did you just say?
Trading Places.
No, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
That's just a great movie.
Okay.
That's a great movie. Like Die Hard and Trading Places, those are just like classic great movies. Gremlins is... This is not the great movie, but it's a Christmas movie.
We just watched it again the other day, and I forgot exactly how graphic and violent it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really makes you wonder because...
the microwave?
I watched that as a kid.
That's only one of them. There's another good probably half dozen or so moments in that movie where you're like, wow, I forgot about that.
You know, the ratings boards used to be a lot looser, I think, with certain things. Never the boobs. There've always been a bunch of prudes about that, but they let a lot of the violence go, particularly during the 80s,
and some just flippant swear words. Like I had one of my buddies text me the other day in our group chat. He's like, "Turns out, been watching the censored version of Christmas Vacation a lot, and." Watch the uncensored with the kids, and that's the only one we watch in our home.
Yeah.
So I've
Bing Crosby tap dance with Danny Bleepin' K.
There's a lot of times where we're like, don't repeat that. That's not appropriate. Don't say that. Don't do that.
European
That's
Vacation
not okay.
will get you in significantly more trouble on that end.
European Vacation is fantastic.
Yeah.
Big Ben. Well, look, kids, Big Ben.
Parliament.
But Christmas Vacation, it's got a lot of swear words. It's got... It's not even innuendo. It's just right in your face, graphic descriptions. And I remember watching the uncensored version when I was a kid, going to Hollywood Video or the West Union grocery store and getting that movie and taking it home and putting it in the VCR. I don't remember like any of those bad parts. I remember like the sledding part. I remember we had one of those, I don't even know what they are, where the candles like heat up the flame and it kind of has like a little windmill.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It falls apart. You know, like he touches and it just falls apart when he's getting his eggnog and his.
We had one of those when I was a kid too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of those since I was a kid.
I always remember, even as a kid, Grappers Full.
Yeah.
That was the one my parents would look at me like.
Yeah, but that is one where you go, hey, don't repeat that. But yeah. Anything that comes out of Cousin
Had to make sure to get that one ready for today.
Mm-hmm. You serious, Clark?
Save the neck for me.
Yeah. Can you give me a little money? I want to get you something real nice.
Little squirrel moment.
It's a fantastic, but hold on really quick.
Yeah.
In all of those moments, you do have to give that disclaimer of, hey, don't repeat that. After you get done laughing, of course.
Yes.
And that is, I don't remember any of these things. Like Gremlins, that movie is aggressive.
Yeah.
I remember laughing at it and thinking it was like a funny movie when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You watch it now, you're like, what was I thinking? Like, what is going on? And so as a parent now, I'm like, yeah, they can watch it. My wife's like, no. I'm like, yeah, what?
Yeah, of course.
And then she always throws at me because
that's a great kid.
It was the one movie that
Christmas movie.
I even remember at the time being like, this is too much, is my dad's football players. I'll never forget in Spokane, Washington, we were at a hotel as they were getting ready to play Whitworth the night before. And on HBO, Silence of the Lambs was on. And I was 8 years old and I watched the whole thing. And I remember going, I don't think I'm ready for this. And I watched the whole thing.
And you got the little...
Stop.
Don't make me do it.
Because of that movie, my wife's like, oh yeah, Silence of the Lambs. And I'm like, well, no, it's Gremlins. It's different. We're not filleting anybody in a cell.
Yeah, it's funny how those early, like late 70s and early 80s movies, how many of them just got lumped automatically into a PG rating, like Gremlins.
Yeah.
Like, Jaws is rated PG.
You're like, what? That's what I'm saying. Like
Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, where the guy literally reaches in and pulls a heart out. That's rated PG.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a period during the 80s where it's just like, meh.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in 90s too, because like this text on the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. What about Rookie of the Year? Funky butt loving being allowed.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
like
there's no curse words there.
That's just a weird thing to say, especially coming from your doctor after you punch him in the face. But funky butt loving was something that me and my idiot friends, we all just said funky butt loving.
It was right up there with I'll Be Back.
Yeah. Yeah, Top Gun is PG. I mean, there's multiple love scenes in that.
Yeah, but there's no like, it's not risque. There's no nudity.
Yeah. We should go back to those times.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, back to the squirrel moment.
Yep.
Aunt Bethany in Christmas Vacation, the original voice of Betty Boop.
Really?
That makes sense.
That makes sense. Now that you say that.
Yeah.
She was the OG Betty Boop.
That tracks.
Yeah, that was a squirrel moment, but that's a good piece of knowledge.
Right?
That nobody's better for, but we all needed it.
Oh, no, we're all better for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn you.
All right. All right. It is our Thursday show. We will have our picks coming up at 2:00. Since it is our final show before the holiday season, I believe that today is a day that we need to celebrate the holiday. Festivus is on Saturday. The airing of grievances. I believe that we should have a sports airing of grievances today on the show. And you can text us at 503-864-6326, Vancouver Ford text line. You can comment on the YouTube stream, youtube.com/1080am, The Fan. Your sports grievances. Let's get it all out there, folks. We'll allow for the airing of sports grievances today. So it will be one heck of a day in that regard. We'll also have sports too. Got big weekend in the NFL. Since it is our last show all together before the new year, we'll talk a little college football playoff. We got a big weekend in the NFL. The Blazers are favored again. The
second time this year.
Pucker factor is real because they lost outright the last time.
They played horribly against the Utah Jazz.
Can't do it. Can't have that repeat performance. So we got a lot that we got to get to. But before we do any of that,
there's a couple of boxes sitting on the table in there.
Jeff Rust did not wrap this.
No.
But for those watching on the YouTube stream, he has requested that we open these boxes as I don't know what is in here. I got you guys alcohol.
You did.
Yeah.
Because I know my audience.
Right.
But we have boxes here that you want us to open.
Little spoiler, I know my audience as well.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, go ahead, open her up.
All right, here we go. Oh, look at this! Oh, it's booze.
It's booze.
It's booze.
It's a little samplers.
Yeah, it's a little like
I got an old fashioned kit here.
Old fashioned kit.
Old fashioned kit. Thank you very much. That's very thoughtful.
You got a little Maker's Mark. You got some Bullet Bourbon, some bitters, a couple sugar cubes, some maraschino cherries,
little fresh
look
orange.
At this, little
Satsuma orange.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Look,
Merry
look
effing Christmas.
We do know each other very well,
right?
Alcohol all around,
Yes.
huh?
Yes.
Alcohol all around. Thank you, Rust. So this should aid the show quite nicely today.
Yeah. On the text
Come
line
back
here,
from an extra long break.
somebody says, fun Gremlins fact, it was the first film to be given the PG-13 rating. Not true.
Not
true.
Boy. Oh boy, here we go.
Gremlins was one of the movies that was the impetus to create the PG-13 rating. I believe the first one released in theaters to actually carry the PG-13 rating was Red Dawn.
Hell yeah.
But basically, Gremlins and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom were pretty much the impetus for the PG-13 rating.
I am.
Turns out
here.
having somebody's heart in front of their face was like, maybe traumatizing for some kids.
Yes. Yeah. I remember watching that when I was like 7.
What?
Temple of Doom.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Temple. That and the monkey brains.
Why
Yes.
13?
PG-13.
Yeah. Why were they like? You know
The
what?
first teenage years.
Well, because they're like, you're in
12 to 13.
you're in junior high.
You get out of those tween years and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, middle schoolers need this. Middle schoolers need to be able to fight off the Cubans and the Russians if they invade Colorado.
That's where they'd come from.
I still say every
From
time I
inside.
drive by old West Union Elementary School and that
Go
the
Wolverines.
field back there, for some reason that field, it makes me think of the opening scene in Red Dawn every time.
Well, yeah, because it looks like it, and
Yeah.
West Union is the Wolverines. They're the West Union Wolverines.
Oh, no kidding.
That was our mascot.
I did not know that.
I went to West Union Elementary School.
That I knew.
Yeah. I went there, and it does. You get those vibes because you got the forest right behind it,
Right?
and then you just have a big farm field.
Yeah. You got the classroom windows looking out over the big field. And,
Yeah. Yeah. You got the big outdoor area. Like the baseball fields, I got 4 baseball fields out there, and then there's like woods back behind it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a dairy farm to the right, which it is weird. This is gonna be very weird, but that dairy farm, it was every morning recess. The wind would come from the dairy farm over.
Ooh.
So now cow poop is like a comforting smell to me.
Well, then may I
Like it is.
I recommend Newberg, Oregon,
Yeah.
as every morning when the wind picks up, I smell the pastures that are on the other side of the river.
Yeah, coming from St. Paul. Yeah. That's yes, you get that. But Tillamook is too much.
Oh, way too
It's
much.
way too much of that smell.
That's
Yes.
Tillamook, Stockton, California is the same because it's just miles.
Well,
of
and if you're
cows.
ever on the coast,
And
I've
dead
noticed
bodies and
lots
stuff.
of times when it gets warm here in the summertime, sometimes it's due to the east winds coming through the gorge and whatnot. So we'll head down to the coast. But when you get down to the coast, like at Manzanita and such, those same east winds are carrying all of that farmland air towards the ocean and right over the beach. And so then Manzanita all of a sudden smells like cow poop.
Nice. Also, there's a big field, like it's fields for miles.
Yes.
If you look to the left at old West Union Elementary, one last quick story of my elementary days. One of my best friends, RJ, we were in elementary school and he goes, I'm going home. We were like at recess. He's like, I'm going home. We're like in 4th grade. I'm like, you can't do that. And this little MFer just took off running through the field. And he was gone. He made it home.
Little Forrest Gump.
I mean, he just went. He had the school record for the mile, and you could see why. This little dude just took off, and he was just. I was like, "Where's he going?"
Running.
That recess aide had no idea where he went, and it was back in the day where it was like. Now it'd be like school's on lockdown.
Oh yeah.
No, nobody leaving. No, I was just like, yeah, we're gonna have to call his parents because we know where he went.
Yeah.
It was like,
Back then it was like, not much we can do.
but he was just like running through fields, just for as long as you could imagine.
Yeah.
It was probably like 2 miles. That kid just ran through nothing but farmland.
which for a kid might as well be 20 miles.
Yeah, just a lot of steps for a little fourth grader. That was
short little legs.
That was one of the great things about growing up in the middle of nowhere. You get those. He's just gonna go. He's gone. Yeah. He's running.
There he goes.
He's not gonna come back for a couple days because he got suspended. You could stay at home, and that was the other thing. They suspended him, and it's like so you're just gonna let him stay at home? All right, I think that was the goal. I don't think that went bad for him at all. It's kind of exactly what he wanted to do.
Pretty much.
All right. We've got the airing of grievances coming in now on the Vancouver Ford text line. Make sure you send them our way, 503-864-6326. We'll get to those at the top of next hour. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we'll do that top of next hour. Coming up next, though, let's unpack what wrapped up with National Signing Day and what is to come, because two schools that were formerly of the Pac-12 catching a little heat for their recruiting classes. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Alabama, really good at recruiting. Yeah. Imagine that. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And Miami with their transfer portal guys, they jump up to number 3. But you got Texas, Miami, Oregon, Ohio State, all the who's of the recruiters. And Oregon had a really big day yesterday. And by all accounts, there's more coming. A lot of folks, including the 24/7 Crystal Ball, think Jericho Johnson, 4-star defensive lineman out of California, will commit to Oregon today. 6 o'clock. And there could be more. I mean, these recruiting classes are enormous. Oregon's up to 30 right now.
That's
Miami's
a monster class.
31.
Good God.
But that's if you include the transfers as well.
Oh, okay.
And all of this is to tell you that there will be even more movement because you still have got to have a roster within the limits of the NCAA. You can have as big of any class as you want, but we're seeing now with the transfer portal, a lot of guys are going to be leaving as this thing goes on. And this is just the beginning of how rosters are going to be constructed. There are 2 teams, though, in particular that are taking a little bit of heat formerly from the Pac-12. And this is interesting because it shouldn't be this way based on performance of one program in words of the other. Both Colorado and Washington getting heavy criticism for their recruiting classes. Colorado, I don't know if you saw how many guys that they got actually out of high school, but their class is very, very, very small right now. They only signed yesterday 6 players from high school. Now, the value of those players is very high. They got 1 5-star, 3 4-star recruits, but only signing 6 is not a good look for Deion Sanders.
No, they're not even rated as the highest school in their own state. Colorado State coming in at 68th.
Yeah, they were, I believe,
98th.
98th.
Yep.
98th in the country, and this is a coach in Deion Sanders that said, we're bringing Louis, right? Now, on the flip side of that, all Colorado fans, and they're getting very defensive over this, is they're saying, hey, listen to what Deion says, though, because he's going to build this team out of the portal. And if you look at, they already have 16 guys coming out of the portal, and their overall recruiting class is far better than what they got from their high school signing class. But there is this reality of college football that you cannot just exclusively sign out of the transfer portal, because why are they guys leaving their previous school to enter the transfer portal?
It's not because things are going great.
It's because they want to play. They want to play. They want to get on the field. So if you're only signing 6 guys out of high school, you have to have a base of development in any football program. Like that is mandatory. That is necessary. And I think what a lot of folks are saying is that the way that Deion is approaching this is he's just going to go and hire guns every year. Well, if you have everybody who is wanting to play immediately, how do you build a program in that way? How do you build that culture in that way? And I think that that's a very valid discussion to have and an argument to have, is that you've got to be able to sign more than 6 guys out of high school to try and grow and develop them, because your continuity moving forward. And look, if the results continue to be like they were in year 1, where they went 4-8, these guys are no longer going to be like, yeah, I'm going to want to go and play for Deion now. Heck, Jordan Seaton, their number 1 recruit that still is not signed with them.
Not signed yet. He's one of the top recruits of the country.
And he is the only 5-star that they have right now, and he's not even signed to them. There's a belief he's going to Maryland now. He's going to be going back home and going to play at Maryland. So then you're only having a 5-man recruiting class?
Look, I am not quite as staunchly against the transfer portal, I think, as you are as far as team building. But where I think we agree is I think it's a good way for a coach to come in. That's what you can use it for, because you can get more of the idea of guys that you want. If you're changing systems, changing styles, you can look at the transfer portal like, hey, I want to play faster. let's go this way. I want to play a little bit bigger. Let's go this way.
Sure.
Are they the exact guys that we want? No, we're going to recruit those guys. But these are our immediate, not massive impact guys, but this allows us to be a little bit more in line stylistically.
No doubt.
And I think that accelerates the transfer as opposed to having to wait 3 years to get your recruiting class all the way through. But you can't use it as the basis for everything.
That's what seemingly Colorado is doing. And right there, that is one where you go, this is going to be a really interesting experiment because you look at it and you say, all right, they're getting some of those guys through the portal. They're also losing some of those guys through the portal too. They thought that they had Seton. They thought that they had Bedford. They want to retool that offensive line. They lose 2 of their starters who are now going to Oregon State, coincidentally, but to play on the offensive line. You've got to be able to build and grow your own talent as a college program. That is, and look, Deion comes from the world of the NFL. That's what you do in the NFL too, right? That's how you evaluate your draft and where you take guys in the first round. You're taking a guy who you want to be a contributor and a starter in year 1. You go in the second round of the draft, you're going, all right, he could be a starter, but we want a guy who can be a contributor and can fill a position of need for us. And then your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks, those are all guys that, all right, we're going to lean on our development and we're going to try to develop this guy. That is how you should be going through the way that you build through the transfer portal is essentially your first round, or you get a 5-star guy, right? Mm-hmm. And then you got to build and develop guys down the road.
Yeah, if one of those dudes, if you get the Ducks getting Birch in the transfer portal, when that opportunity, or hell, Bo Nix, when a guy comes up that you're like, that's a guy for us. That's 100% a dude for us. That's who we want. We don't have to wait. Let's just go get him.
Yeah.
And then there's probably 25, 30 of those in the country on a given year.
Yeah.
You just a dude at whatever position. And I think it's really, you have to discount quarterbacks. If you talk about the non-quarterback positions, there's 25 schools that are going to be chasing those guys. So you can't base your entire plan around that guy. Mm-hmm. And again, the idea of backfilling, I think that's interesting, but they just can't be the foundation.
The other school that is catching a lot of heat because it's just confusing to see is Washington, the number 2 seed in the college football playoff. You cannot ride a bigger wave of momentum having the nation's longest winning streak, being in the playoff, winning the conference championship, heading into the Big Ten than what Washington is. And right now, the Huskies currently have 16 recruits to their class this year, and they rank 36th coming out of signing day.
Is that good?
Nationally. That would be the lowest of, I think, any team that's participated in the college football playoff for their signing class.
And it's a low number. It's 16.
It is. But if you look at Washington after they played in the playoff in 2016, they were a top 20 recruiting class the following year. If you look at Oregon, which was not a top recruiter coming out, they were 16th after they played in the college football playoff in 2014. I think you would have to look probably last year's recruiting class for TCU to be one that was comparable, but they were 21st last year with their recruiting class after they made the college football playoff. It is very low, and it's kind of head scratching to see a team who is as well coached and riding that wave of momentum to see them that far down on the recruiting rankings. Now, if you add in their transfers and what the transfer portal means to UW, okay, their class jumps from 38 up to 29, and they're filling that gap. Michael Penix Jr. leaving with Will Howard, the quarterback out of Mississippi State, coming in. That is good. And here's the thing that I think we have two big differences is, one, you have Deion Sanders, and I think the reason why Colorado is taking so much heat is because of what he said he was going to do with this program, right? He told everybody, I'm bringing Louis. With Kalen DeBoer, the one thing that everybody said was, all right, can Kalen DeBoer recruit at the level to maintain the level of talent that he has at UW? Because You can look at UW and you can say he did bring in Michael Penix Jr. That is very true. But you look at that receiving core, I think you have to go down to their fourth leading receiver is a guy that was recruited. And he was a transfer portal guy in Jeremy Bernard, who they recruited and they brought in at UW. Mm-hmm. Their fourth leading receiver. And so they've got a ton of talent right now. But can they keep bringing that level of talent in and continuing to develop them? There is no question in the world that Kalen DeBoer, with the guys that he has, like I wouldn't be worried about the star level of the guys at UW right now because he's a developer of talent. Yeah. And Kalen DeBoer is.
He's the Jonathan Smith at the larger footprint university.
But a 13-0 team was a lot of highly touted recruits that are able to be developed in the last 2 years under Kalen DeBoer and his staff.
And even though UW has struggled through, the pre-DeBoer years, kind of up and down, obviously the post-Peterson, Jimmy Lake era, they still recruited the living hell out of that defensive backfield.
Yes, they did.
And they landed dudes, and they became the West Coast version of DBU.
Yep.
And they pumped guys out to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of say what you want about classes and this and that. Like, even when they were kind of, they put NFL dudes in there. So I think they've got to find that space. And this is, the local criticism of the Beavers over the years was that, yes, Jonathan Smith was a developer of talent and, diamond in the rough. Now Michigan State is going to find out, like, Jonathan Smith, while he's a great developer, his blind spot is probably that as of a recruiter. It's not that he's a bad recruiter. It's just like, I don't think it's not Dan Lanning.
It's opening those doors and continuing that line of communication. And if you heard Dan Lanning talk last night in his press availability
before he got back on the phone
about how they were able to flip the two receivers, it was just it's about relationship building and then continuing that conversation and continuing growing that conversation. And for everybody that will say that, oh, you just throw the bag at guys. No, you've got to get in first. And because everybody can throw the bag at them, right? It is, and that is the truth. That is the truth.
Everybody has money.
Washington can throw a bag at players.
Washington has a dumb amount of money.
Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Florida State, Miami, Oregon, USC, Ohio State.
There's 25
Michigan.
schools that we went through the amount of money these schools have a couple weeks ago. It's insane.
Texas A&M, LSU, like Notre Dame. We've just listed 15 schools right there that you can sit there and you can say they have the money to throw at NIL, right? So it's not just about the money aspect of it. Does it help? Hell yeah, it helps.
Yeah. And does it sway a guy or two? Yeah,
it does. But
it can't be the basis for what you build your class around is we have more money.
It absolutely it is. And getting in those homes, getting with those guys early and building those relationships, that is the most important thing about recruiting. And look, there's no doubt that Deion can do it at Colorado because he's the most charismatic guy in the world. But it's interesting to see his approaches. Nah, screw it. We'll take the guys that are unhappy at a spot that they were at before, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to commit to. Right now, it's 6 commits to their program. 5 have signed, and their prize prospect. That 98th rating could plummet if Jordan Seaton signs with Maryland. Think of that. Think of how far they fall if they're 98th right now.
Good Lord, yeah, they fall.
If they lose their top recruit of 6 guys, that thing goes way down,
like 130.
Whereas Kalen DeBoer, I have a lot more faith in Washington being able to grow and develop. But the thing that I caution is, will they be at the level and the caliber of player that they've developed over the last 2 years that they're going to be bringing in the future? And that's going to be a fascinating thing to see because his staff can develop talent. Those guys can coach football. They are absolutely a mind F when you're trying to game plan for them. Gosh, it's really hard not to swear when I'm sitting there and I'm talking about how hard it is to game plan for football. When you get a staff that is as good as they are, man, if they get their hooks into good players, you see what you're seeing right now, which is 13-0, which is the longest winning streak in college football dating back to last season. That's a special staff. Can they get the dudes though that make a special season like they have right now? That's going to be the question moving forward. 503-864-6326. Got some of your feedback coming in on the. Did I say Will Howard? I meant Will Rogers, the quarterback of from Mississippi State.
Yeah,
I said Will Howard, meant Will Rogers. We'll get to some of your feedback on this coming up next. Danny Dusty on the Fan.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
It's indoor golf season. Check out X Golf in Vancouver or Tualatin, the home of indoor golf, online at xgolfpnw.com. First on The Fan, Week 16 in the NFL begins with the Saints at the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Both teams are 7-7, with the Rams holding the 7th seed in the NFC. Los Angeles currently owns the playoff tiebreaker due to conference win percentage. It's a 5:15 kick on Prime Video. The Rams are 4-point favorites. Bengals receiver Jamar Chase will miss Saturday's game at the Steelers due to a shoulder injury. He was considered day-to-day after suffering a sprained AC joint in last Saturday's overtime loss to the Bengals, but had not practiced this week. Steelers defensive lineman Cameron Hayward has been cleared from concussion protocol and is expected to play Saturday against the Bengals. The Chargers have ruled out wide receiver Keenan Allen Saturday against the Bills due to a heel injury. In the NBA, Trailblazers get back at it tonight, hosting the Washington Wizards. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports. Shaden Sharp out with right adductor soreness. The Blazers are 4.5-point favorites. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager with our sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand.
The Richard Branson MTV Cribs where he had an island, like an island in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And they were doing like the MTV Cribs, and they go out to like this pool area, and it's like, oh, look who's here. Just Mariah Carey was just by the pool. I was like, oh, that'd be nice.
Nice, yeah. Forget the island. I want that.
Yeah, just like on Richard Branson's just island in the middle of the Caribbean. Oh, hey, Mariah Carey's here.
Turns out owning Virgin Records has its perks.
Goodness gracious. Love Mariah Carey. Your feedback, 503-864-6326. That's the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online, vancouverford.com. This text, and this is very true. It says, word is UW isn't big on throwing crazy money at unproven high school kids and are using their significant NIL money to retain their current players and to grab kids from the portal. So far, it's hard to argue with the results of this strategy as they didn't lose a single draft-eligible player last year. That is true. But here is where you go down and you say, all right, who brought those guys in that they use that NIL money to retain? It was not this staff. It was a staff that was recruiting at a higher level, right? And so and it is, you don't argue with the results of what they have right now, but last year is far different than what they're going to be having moving forward as you get further and further away. And if you have the 39th best recruiting class, and you're then going to be saying, hey, with these guys, if those guys aren't developing and they aren't the players of the caliber of the guys that they brought in as high school seniors 5 years ago or 4 years ago, right? Then you're sitting there, you're throwing money at guys that came in at a step lower than the guys prior to them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The other staff recruited at a higher level. So yes, the strategy did make sense this year. And it was to bring everybody back for one last run. That's what every college football fan dreams of. And they were able to do it. Mm-hmm. Like everybody was on the same page and they were like, nope, we're going to run it back one more time. Whether it's Trice or Odunze or Penix, like they got everybody to come back. And
you get to wonder how much that actually costed, because the rumors are coming out now that Sam Hartman cost Notre Dame $2 million and he's not even playing in the bowl game.
Yeah.
So what does it cost to bring back Penix and Odunze and McMillan?
Well, yeah, but desperation also
I'm just wondering, like, when you talk about, UW isn't spending money, it's like, well, yeah, they probably spent a lot of money bringing those guys back.
Yep. And we got a text here that says, we talked about this yesterday. Funny thing is, all three of the Washington superstar wide receivers were recruited by Oregon's wide receiver coach. Yeah, Junior Adams.
He is really good at what he does.
He is a pit bull recruiter. Yes. See, flipping two more wide receivers yesterday, one from SC, one from Ohio State. And the Washington fans, when Adams came to Oregon, was like, yeah, but he can't develop those guys. I think Troy Franklin got a lot better over 2 years with Junior Adams.
Not too shabby.
I think that you can kind of point to that and say, yeah, he did a pretty good job there, and you could say, well, he's just talented. Yeah.
Sure. There's plenty of, I'm
going to go ahead and say this. A lot of guys are really stinking talented.
And don't make it.
Yeah. But this is, recruiting matters. It's your lifeblood of your program. And I think what we need to start doing is reassessing kind of how we evaluate recruiting classes because of the transfer portal and what it can mean, because it still is recruiting. You're still, whether you are recruiting a player straight out of high school or you're recruiting a guy from another program, you're still selling the same thing, which is your program and how you can make them better, right? And that's the crazy part about, like, you see these coaches that are so good X's and O's wise. Chip Kelly is a great example of this, right?
Who just don't like recruiting.
Can't.
Yeah.
Can't do it effectively. They just can't do it effectively. They can communicate the most complex scheme and concept offensively, but you can't, for whatever reason, and you can be engaging in an interview and you can be engaging with people, but when it comes down to recruiting and selling your program and selling you and selling your development, and you have a track record of developing guys and saying, hey, Michael James wasn't the biggest recruit in the world, did a pretty damn good job with him at Oregon. Kenyon Barner did a pretty good job. Look at the quarterbacks that we had at Oregon when I was there. We did a really good job with those guys. One in the NFL for a year before they said, why are you testing our pee every day? But not being able to sell everything that you've been able to do and being as effective of a communicator as these guys are, that's the wild thing about it. But that is the difference in college football.
And that's the thing is, football savants aren't good at selling.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick is not closing deals. That's not what he does. It's rare to have that skill set. Even more rare to have that skill set. Look, this is why bagmen existed. It wasn't just because of the money.
Yeah.
Those guys, they weren't entrusted just because they knew somebody.
They're salesmen.
They're salesmen.
In their day jobs.
Yeah. This is what they do. They are closers. That they understand psychology and people and how to appeal to their most basic wants and needs, make them feel loved, that's the whole make me feel the love. That's what it's a real thing.
It's dating.
It is. It is. Like, without getting into too much of it, like, this is part of like the training that I went into when I worked in military intelligence. Those things matter. Building those relationships and understanding what motivates people. It's not always money. Sometimes it is very, very, very simple, and people make it much more difficult than it needs to be. But that skill set, number one, again, it's rare. Number two, doesn't usually exist in football coaches at an elite level.
Yeah.
And number three, takes an obscene amount of time and effort.
Yeah, you want to know if a coach is a good recruiter? Check out how hot his wife is.
Ding, 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 ding. Sales, baby.
Just be able to sell and close, right? Sales and close. Oh, man. All right, 503-864-6326. That's our recruiting wrap-up. And a great way to end it with, the best way to do it is to...
Hot wives.
Hot wives. There it is. Hey, one wrinkle has been added to the Beavs and the Cougs joining the WCC next on The Fan. for the Beavs and Cougs to have that landing spot. We talked about this yesterday. It gives you a little bit more stability and your direction. I saw yesterday, Oregon State women, they improved to 10-0 on the season. How about that? Ruick and his crew got back. Come in, let's go. But now there was this uncertainty over what baseball is going to do. And now there is like the idea going around that it may be an open window for baseball to join the WCC if they can't find a better option.
Nicole Auerbach is supporting the schools. Oregon State, Washington State will have 30 days to decide if they want to add baseball to the league or go independent. CBS is reporting that in baseball, Oregon State is a strong enough program that it intends to play as an independent in the near term. So we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but this does include the actual window. And I kind of want to see Oregon State play as an independent and go through and just play Vandy, LSU, Cal State Fullerton. I mean, just play powerhouses.
Yeah. And I like, this is the interesting part about it is that, like, if you look at the West Coast Conference, according to RPI, well, hold on, that was outdated a year. But it's around like the 10th, between the 10th and 12th best conference in baseball. This past season, they were 12th. In the Mountain West, if you look at them, they're 13th. But maybe are they trying to get into that Big West for baseball and maybe play like a hybrid Big West schedule? Because Big West would put you in with the Cal State Fullertons, Long Beach States, those types of schools, and say, all right, to bump our RPI up. Because, I mean, that's a top 5 baseball conference.
Not just that. Sell it as your recruiting guys. Stay an independent.
Yeah.
Hey, come here. Play against the best all year, every year.
Yeah. I mean, look, think about this, though. Like, if you could play in that Big West hybrid like you're doing with football and say, all right, we want to have some guaranteed conference games against Fullerton, Long Beach, Cal Poly, UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara, Riverside, these decent baseball programs. And then for the bulk of the schedule, say, nope, all right, we're going to go. And we're going to go play at LSU. We're going to have, Oklahoma State come and play in Corvallis, or Coastal Carolina,
Vandy, Florida.
All of those schools that hang their hat on baseball and say, no, we're going to go at it. But if you're Washington State, where you're not as secure in your footing,
you may want to join the conference.
Use that 30-day window to figure out what you want to do baseball-wise, and you can join. Oregon State, that would be the most badass thing you can do, because you have a program that can do it.
You were quite literally a top 5 baseball program in the country, hands down, no questions asked. You were that program.
I just wonder how expensive that would be, right? And
how much money can you get though? Because from doing that,
it is one of the few baseball programs in the country that is self-sustaining and a revenue generator, and it's not a lot. It is not a lot, but you have that leg up on what a lot of baseball programs in the country don't have.
Just about every one of them don't have, to be fair.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you just, in little old Corvallis, you turn a pipeline into Major League Baseball.
Yep. All right. Hey, this is a good segue because I have a feeling we have some that may chime in. Festivus, the airing of grievances, is on Saturday. This is our last show before we head off for the Christmas holiday or the Festivus holiday. We will have our airing of sports grievances next. Text us 503-250-1080 503-864-6326, the Vancouver Forward text line. Tweet at us at Danny and Dusty, at Danny Marang, at Dusty_Hera, or comment in the youtube.com/1080am the fan. We want to hear your airing of grievances for the Sports Festivus next on the Fan. is it a make or break weekend in the NFL for a bunch of teams? But where we start this hour, Festivus, the airing of grievances. The great Frank Costanza brought this into our lexicon. We do not have a poll in this studio. The higher ups at Odyssey said, we know what you guys will use that for. And we're like, no, Festivus. I promise.
That's what it's for.
Like, you're in Portland. No. So we do not have the Festivus poll, even though I'd like to have one in here.
We do have cameras and seating.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great to have the airing of grievances. So we are allowing you, sports fans in the Portland metro area and beyond, to share your sports grievances.
It's a sturdy table.
The Vancouver Ford text line is 503-864-6326. That's where you can send in your sports grievances, or at youtube.com/1080am The Fan, right there in the chats. Go ahead, go there and go ahead and vent. Do you have any sports grievances that you would like to get off your chest before we get this underway? You have a new one?
New one. One you brought to my attention just a matter of weeks ago.
I have a feeling that when I thought of this idea for today, I was like, yeah, Danny's going to fill up an hour.
Just unroll the scroll.
Yeah. What do you got?
#AGTG.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting so lazy,
buddy,
that even in our very stupid young boy tweets, they don't even say all glory to God.
Yeah.
It's just #AGTG. But still,
all glory to God. God,
but still, blessed. Blessed.
Yeah. You know what
they're all
come
blessed.
Up with something other than blessed.
Exactly.
They
blessed
did
to receive an offer from.
They did. All glory to God.
I want one kid from San Diego, for the love of God.
Okay.
I don't know. He's got to be like a.
Does he have to be from San Diego?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's got to be stoked. He's got to be stoked to get an offer. I'm so stoked to get an offer, bro.
Sick, bro.
Can we get one that says, hey, God didn't help me with squat. I did this on my own.
A little something. Literally anything. But give me anything. Stop being blessed.
Yeah, blessed. Yeah, what I'm glad they've stopped doing, though, and this is the start of it, is like when somebody be like, blessed to receive my 34th offer from Oregon. It's like, wait, what? And it's like, no. Oregon hasn't offered you 34 times. I know that for damn sure. Yeah. And nobody cares how many other schools have offered you. Why are we telling people how many offers you have? So that has we've seen that cooled a little bit.
Hey everyone, come and see how good I look.
Yeah. But what we have seen the uptick in is blessed and #AGTG. All glory to God that's the new hotness right now. And it's a thing.
Hashtags suck. In general.
Yeah. Yeah, they just, hey, but if you're spiritual like that, go ahead. I'm just not buying that every single guy who gets an offer
the very spiritual and uplifting #AGTG.
All right.
America's Got Talent freaking hashtag.
Okay. America's Got Talent. Good.
Yeah.
AGTG. There we go. This one comes in via the Vancouver Ford text line. Major League Baseball sports writers, Hall of Fame voters, just a bunch of old men yelling at clouds while they say baseball used to be better way back when, and hold votes back to make people wait years to get into the hall to settle scores and push their columns. That's actually a great one. And that's an evergreen one.
It's like, maybe just instead of, that's another one. There you go. Get off your high horses about the steroids. They used amphetamines for 20 years. Shut up.
Yeah, they literally, you talk to old timers, man.
The stuff they were taking.
I talked to like old school NFL guys. I would say in their locker room, they would have a green jar, a yellow jar, and a red jar. Green was your uppers. Red was your downers. Yellow was to level you out. And you did, like, there was no doctor. You would just go and before the game, you'd pick up your greenies. After the game, you'd pick up your reddies. And that's how they used to just pump drugs into their body before and after games.
Apparently they kept better track of them than Jack Black in Orange County.
I said, you better not.
You better not. Right now, you can't see it on even the video because of the angle, but I'm showing Dusty a picture of NBA Hall of Famer Nate Thurmond.
Yeah.
Do you think that's natural?
Yeah, he's jacked. But that's Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds. They should be in the Hall of Fame. They should.
All of them.
They should.
All of them. Roger Clemens was a monster long before his head got the size of a watermelon. Barry Bonds was the best player in baseball before he put on 45 pounds.
Yeah, also, now he's yelling.
It was super cool to watch him hit the ball a mile every time somebody put anything down the middle of the plate.
All right, another one coming in. Professional sports referees and umpires unions that allow bums like Scott Foster and Angel Hernandez to keep their jobs year after year.
Because that's well, I shouldn't say it's the only reason Scott Foster has a job. Scott Foster has a job because he has dirt on the NBA.
He's got dirt on the NBA.
The guy took over 80 phone calls in a 3-day period from Tim Donaghy. And then they stopped.
Yeah.
It's like,
his personal agenda against Chris Paul, too, is something that is
I haven't told it on air.
You have Adam Silver had to publicly address it.
And what caused it to escalate was Scott Foster leaving the floor like a complete a-hole. This was when Chris Paul, I believe, was with the Clippers, and Chris Paul's son was playing dribbling a basketball in the hallway, and Scott Foster kind of like put his hand on his shoulder and get the bleep out of my way. Like he big-timed Chris Paul's kid. I don't know about you. I mean, you guys
you don't touch my kid.
I say, you guys have kids.
That's grounds for an ass whooping.
Nope.
And Chris Paul said as much.
Yeah.
And that it has gone on since then. And after that time, Scott Foster continued to egg on Chris Paul. And there's records of this. Scott Foster went up to Chris Paul before a playoff game and said, you're winless against me in playoffs, right?
Uh-oh. See, in that right
insane!
There, that guy should never ref again. But he continually is in Chris Paul games. That's bananas.
It's insane to me.
And gone are the days where they can do just good old boy him and reassign him to some other job, right? Yeah. But yet we see him in the playoffs. We see him take over playoff games and make it a ref show, and it sucks. All right, sports grievance. The fact that NIL is technically not supposed to be a pay-for-play, yet that's what 98% of the deals are, and they are so convoluted and it's impossible to ever prove. Of course, that all assumes the NCAA has a spine or any actual power. Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the NIL, and this is typical NCAA. They deny it, say, nope, we're never going to do it. They lose a court case, and they say, okay, everybody can do whatever they want with no plan. Like they didn't have 25 years to figure out name, image, and likeness.
Slowly figure something out. Ed O'Bannon's case came in, 92?
No. Or
94?
I don't even. I think it was 98-ish.
Oh, God, I thought it was early 90s.
Yeah, no, because he played in 94.
God, was it that?
Yeah. I don't think it was that long ago.
My dates in the 90s are so jacked up.
I mean, he remember he was the heart of it, but
yeah,
it was actually 2009, but he was a starter on their 95 championship.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of is when he was playing.
But it goes back to when he actually got it to court because nobody would actually hear the case for over a decade. Like it was just like he's like, hey guys, I'd like my name, image, and likeness, and then finally they said, all right,
found a sympathetic judge, and there you go.
But yeah, they couldn't have seen this one coming, though. What are we doing?
I got another college basketball one.
All right, go ahead.
Why is college basketball, particularly men's, still played in halves and not quarters?
Yep, that's
the 3-point line not being stretched out and 30-second shot clocks.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
It's not high school.
I don't know.
Stop with this 4 corners nonsense and play some freaking basketball.
Along those lines, my main sports grievance that I have is, Laker fans. But my second sports grievance is, why do we still do touchdown, extra point, commercial, kickoff, commercial?
Yes.
We need to eliminate.
There's a commercial to eliminate.
Kickoff, commercial. Hell, if you want that commercial, run that commercial while the kickoff is happening, because we don't need it anymore.
Give me the longer commercial during the extra point.
Well, especially because all these damn kickoffs now are just going straight through the end zone and nothing happens.
That is Kevin the Surgeon is in. He says, I'm tired of touchbacks in the NFL and college kickoffs. Move the kicker back 15 yards and leave the rest of the kicking team on the 35-yard line. Kickoffs have become boring. I'm with you. But as it is right now.
But that's the point of it. They did that for player safety to reduce collisions and potential for injury. That's why they're kicking it through the end zone now and not moving things back. That's why they changed the kickoff rules. Why the kicking team no longer gets a running start.
I think what he's saying though is that you go XFL kickoff. Did you guys? No, you guys aren't degenerates like me.
Did anybody watch the XFL?
Yeah, I did. But their kickoff was you start basically 5 yards apart from each other, and it's not the kicker's like 15 yards further back, and basically the big impact collisions are gone, and it was an entertaining way to watch football be played, and you can tinker with it, but the NFL is so afraid, and that's why I think the NFL has a vested interest in what the USFL and XFL do with this merger, is because they can throw down their rules and say, all right, can this be a change that people can adjust and actually like? Because if you were to watch it, it wasn't just a touchback palooza. It was actually, you got some drama back in it. You didn't get as many big kickoff returns for touchdowns, but you're getting nothing right now, and it's better than nothing, and you are reducing those big collisions, because the worst collisions, like when you were on kickoff or kickoff return, you just sat there and you're like, all right, this is going to hurt because this guy's got a 20-yard head start at me. We're both running as fast as we can, and it's going to hurt more if I don't run hard, so I've got to run just as hard, and those collisions were gnarly. Get those out of there and make it a little bit easier. I'm with Kevin the Surgeon right there. All right. My sports grievance, being a Mariner fan for 39 years. Enough said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. Mine isn't quite as lighthearted as the rest of these, but celebrating the return of just absolutely horrific individuals to their teams.
Yeah.
You know, your Deshaun Watsons, your Miles Bridges, your Ja Morants, your Tyreek Hills and Kareem Hunts and Joe Mixons and those kinds of guys.
Sure. Have some shame.
I mean, great. The guy can run the ball. He's terrible. He's a horrible person. And quit cheering for them and be like, oh, thank God he's just what we needed. Sorry.
You guys see the Tyreek Hill news?
Yeah.
3 babies.
In like 3 months.
Or no.
3 in
4 months.
Yes, 3 planted seeds.
Yeah, in 4 months.
Antonio Cromartie is just in awe.
The cheetah is at it again, man. Well, he fast. This one,
maybe that's the problem.
Not a single recruit or portal player has ever simply been honest and admitted they chose the school because of money and instead play the whole song and dance of fit, culture, felt like home, etc. I will say, a lot of guys, they get caught up in a scholarship or how much money you're getting, and you make the wrong choice.
You're
and
18
you immediately
because you have no maturity.
And it's an ego thing.
Yeah.
It's an ego thing. And like, I hate when people bash these kids, because we all know people who, and I did this out of high school. I went to University of Montana Western in Dillon, Montana, and I had only been there one time in my life and went on a recruiting trip. But guess what? Got a lot of money to go there. And I was like, I'm in, right? I hated it.
Where'd you end up?
Southern Oregon University, where I got significantly less money, but I was happy. And it took me time to realize this is not the place I want to be.
Yeah.
This isn't where I want to be. And that is a very real thing where you go, yeah, I made a mistake. And I'll never knock a person, because we all know people that have taken jobs because they're getting more money. And then you're like, hey, how's the new gig? You got a big pay bump. They're like, miserable. I hate it. Grass isn't always greener when it comes to money making a decision for you. And so I'm with that texture. Like, I wish they would be honest, because I think that adults would actually realize and be like, a majority of them would be like, I get it, man.
Yeah.
I get it. And that's okay. Unlike what Oklahoma fans are doing to Caden Green's dad.
Good Lord.
Which is for another day.
Yes.
You guys have got a lot of sports grievances. We'll get to some more of them, because this is fun. We're going in a lot of different directions. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Seahawks football is on the Fan. 6 DBs in the game.
You know what? Hey,
that must be nice.
That's good. I like that.
So that sounds like a bandwagon fan, but also Farhad is a Raiders fan. So he has plenty of sports grievances.
Yeah.
I know he does.
This one just says, why do college basketballs take so freaking long? They're 8 fewer minutes of regulation and take longer than NBA games. It's the absolute worst. College basketball is very hard to watch because, and I do have an answer for that, it's sloppier basketball. That's the long and short of it.
Yeah, they're not as good.
Yeah, they're just not that good. But you were right. College basketball needs to go to quarters.
Yeah, the halves is dumb.
Yeah. My sports rant or grievance. As a Bills fan, since I was 6 years old.
Oh, you don't need to explain that one.
I can never support Tom Brady or Bill Belichick. So while from a logic point, Bill would be a good fit for Buffalo, from a fan perspective, I cannot reconcile that. Please don't let it happen. Ooh, the Bill Belichick to Buffalo. You brought that up the other day, and it was...
that one hurts you. That would cut you deep.
Yeah. But, I would be...
in your mouth a little bit.
I would be so happy for Bills fans if they won.
Oh, God, yes.
I would be so happy.
The Bills getting close the last couple of years, absolutely unequivocally, I was pulling for Bills fans.
Yeah.
There's not only like Josh Allen's a fun story, like they had, good players that I liked. It's just like, the local connection with Poyers. Like, oh, yeah. No, this is an easy team to root for. But like 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah.
Good God. Like, if you're our age collectively,
yeah,
and you're a Bills fan, you have been through it.
Yeah. Like Doug Flutie being your quarterback was the best thing until Josh Allen came. Like since those Super Bowls.
Yeah. So you were at it's the apex of pain.
Yeah.
The Blazers were right there as far as being the second best team in the league for basically like a 8-year period.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, I know that pain.
That sucks.
That's not fun, but to have it 4 years in a row.
Yeah, that's tough. Around the same time. And like last year you thought it was the year. It's like everything is breaking our way. Hell, we even had a guy die on the field, came back to life, and became a rallying point of our team. Like it was the great story. Everybody was pulling for us. Nope, couldn't get it done. All right. My grievance, all this NIL money, and yet Reggie Bush still doesn't have his Heisman reinstated. That is one that every USC fan should have in there.
I mean, you know where I stand on that.
Yeah, you want him banned for life. You want him not be able to go to the Coliseum any longer.
Mark Emmert is who I want banned from life.
Sports Illustrated to become a dumpster fire. I get that physical magazines are a thing of the past, but SI's demise has been depressing to watch.
They got bought out, and then, they got venture capitaled.
Yeah.
They got bought out and just disassembled.
Danny, why are you texting into the show? Festivus, Miami fans still saying Portland left a better deal on the table for Dame.
We can check the tape. I have not touched my phone.
No, it's amazing how that energy is still there.
They're still in my mentions, man. Like we're just 3 months. We might be further removed from the trade now than the time it took to trade Dame.
I love that you have become the person that everybody's pointing to as if you made the decision.
Yeah. Look what you got back. I didn't do the deal. Also, I think they did well.
Sports grievance. Fans of traditional college football powers complaining that other schools are buying players as if their schools haven't been doing it for decades. Yeah, that's very true.
Nobody could ever accuse me of that one.
Yeah.
I said, welcome to the big time.
Not being allowed to gamble on college sports in Oregon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or even if we leave the state, you can't gamble on the college sports in that state.
Yeah.
You go to Washington, you can't bet on Washington sports. You go up there and bet on Oregon sports.
Yeah, like
it's very dumb.
Here's my thing. So if you live in Vancouver, like the theory behind it is that like, well, it's too close to the action, right? So you could live in Vancouver, and then I could live literally 5 minutes away from somebody living in Vancouver, and they can bet on Oregon sports.
But you can't.
But the whole idea is like, I live 5 minutes from that person, and it's too close to the action. As if that person can't drive across the bridge. As if, like, when Arizona State's point shaving scandal happened, like, they were like, hey, wait a minute. They don't have anybody here that can gamble on sports. No. That is so dumb.
It's all dumb.
It's all dumb. Doesn't make sense. I believe that one was based out of Atlantic City too. The Arizona State point shaving. No, like I could DM somebody if I wanted to like manipulate a game, right?
Or, I don't know. You could be in the South and then casting or putting bets in on college baseball somewhere in Cincinnati. You know,
like you mean the college baseball scandal with the Alabama baseball coach?
Oh, no way.
This one says hearing Duck fans complain about Liberty. Yeah. Well, I don't.
I'm actually with Duck fans on this one. They have a right.
When you get to a big bowl game, you want to have a big opponent.
Yeah.
And I mean, Liberty fans aren't complaining.
No. And look, you can be like, oh, you guys are the home of the Ducks. You guys know where I stand. The Ducks have a beef. They have a legit beef here.
Yeah, they got a beef. I mean, you just hope your team doesn't come out flat like USC did against Tulane. It's the same thing as Tulane in the Cotton Bowl last year, right? My grievance is that I'm just bummed that I won't get random advice from Danny on how to cover up murders. Oh, no, that's still here.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's always here.
Yeah.
Oh, for the next week. Yeah, that's for the next week.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll do a couple podcasts here or there.
Don't. I really do feel as if Rust and I have saved you several times.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Sports grievance, the perpetual doubt of one Patrick Mahomes from sports media, not counting Nick Wright. I don't doubt Patrick Mahomes. Do we doubt Patrick Mahomes?
I don't, but I did see an interesting chart today.
Who doubts Patrick Mahomes?
I did see an interesting chart today. He has one of the easiest expected throw rates in all of football. Like the throws he's made this year have been some of the easiest in the entire NFL, yet his completion percentage based on over expectation is one of the lowest.
Well, Kadarius Toney has the ball hit off of his hands off of his chest, off his hands, off his chest, off his face mask, getting into the hands of a defender.
But he's all in the same play.
Yeah.
I believe he has the fourth highest expected completion rate based on his throws, but he has one of the lower completion percentage over expectation rates in the entire NFL. I was like, that's interesting. And the chart was actually showing Jalen Hurts is taking some of the most difficult throws in all of football.
Right.
And I was like, oh,
that texter has clarified. He's talking about us for picking the Chargers to win the division this year. That wasn't a great pick, Bob. They fired their coach, but
for sure.
Their roster is very talented.
Yeah. The Chiefs haven't been great.
They haven't been great. They're not a great team, but Patrick Mahomes has never been.
I was down on their wide receivers to start the year.
I'm still on. I think that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to be scaring the playoffs if they don't play number 19.
Yeah.
Just don't play him. Seriously. Do not play Kadarius Toney. Don't do it.
I feel like there has to be a practice squad wide receiver somewhere that's better than him.
Don't play Kadarius Toney. Yeah, you would think.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, just like go and find, I don't know, whoever Bill Belichick, what scrappy little white guy he has buried on his.
Get somebody.
I mean, at least that guy can catch.
Yeah.
You can scheme him open.
Yeah, you're Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. Come on, let's go. You got Patrick Mahomes.
All right, we'll probably get to a few more of these as we get through the rest of today.
You guys are all fired up, and I love it.
You guys are firing up.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
But come in next. It is our worst day on the web. It's so great. It's such a great wind up. Got a lot of problems with you people.
I need the Festivus miracle too. All right. Thank you for that, Russ. Made my day.
Coming up with the worst day on the web. Oklahoma football fans, you continue to suck. We'll get to that and more. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with Sports Center Update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Toro Mexican Kitchen. Transport yourself to Baja, Mexico with delicious regional dishes and cocktails. Book your table today at toropdx.com. First on The Fan, Week 16 in the NFL begins with the Saints at the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Both teams 7-7. The Rams holding the 7 seed in the NFC. That's due to them owning the playoff tiebreaker in terms of conference win percentage. It's a 5:15 kick on Prime Video. The Rams are 4-point favorites. Bengals receiver Jamar Chase will miss Saturday's game at the Steelers due to a shoulder injury. He was considered day-to-day after suffering a sprained AC joint in last Saturday's OT loss to the Bengals, but he had not yet practiced at all this week. Steelers defensive lineman Cameron Hayward has been cleared from concussion protocol. He's expected to play Saturday against the Bengals. The Chargers have ruled out wide receiver Keenan Allen Saturday against the Bills due to a heel injury, but those same Chargers have also designated edge rusher Joey Bosa for return from injured reserve. He's missed the last 4 games with a foot injury. On the hard court, the Blazers back at it tonight, hosting the Wizards. 7 o'clock tip on Root Sports. Shaden Sharp out with right adductor soreness. The Blazers are 4.5-point favorites. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager with our sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Every day, get the NFL headlines delivered straight to you. Follow the Best Football Show with Brian Baldinger on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com.
On the web with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Man, that sucks.
All right, our worst day on the web, well, it surrounds Oklahoma Sooners and just how terrible their fan base is. I've had the tangential experience with them after Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma for USC and the instant bombardment of anything that I tweeted about USC. It was a bit Miami-esque. Except possibly less Florida man and more dumb Midwesterner.
Yeah, but they are feeling more and more vindicated by that. Although like he had a 10-win season last year. Wheels fell off this year,
sure,
but
Heisman Trophy winner. Yeah.
It hasn't been great though.
No, it's been tough this year.
It hasn't been great, but to say they're better off,
especially after a 4-8 season.
Well,
they got better this year, certainly.
I mean, this year they had a really good year.
Yeah.
They knocked off Texas, and they won their rivalry game.
Mm-hmm.
They feel good about their quarterback position moving forward. They're going to be playing in a bigger bowl game. They're the Alamo Bowl, but I mean, it's not like New Year's 6, but 10-2 is a great year.
No, it is.
Yeah, great year.
Yeah. But as we
They're
mentioned,
petty as hell.
as we mentioned earlier, Caden Green transferring out, or transferring out, decommitting, and not ending up at Oklahoma.
No, he transferred out.
I'm sorry,
he transferred out because he played for him this year.
Last year,
yes.
Yeah. But his father, Reginald Green, has an insurance company.
That is such a strong name.
Reginald Green.
Reginald Green is that is a strong name.
And to be clear, there's pictures up. When you see a picture of him, you're like, yep, that's Reginald Green.
Reginald Green, I would trust Reginald Green with my insurance needs.
I would too. But instead, he is being Google/Yelp review bombed by Oklahoma Sooner fans.
Oh, yep.
All over the interwebs, hitting him with 1-star complaints over and over over again.
See, this is the dumbest stuff that you could. This stuff is just stupid because what you are upset because your favorite team lost a really good player to the transfer portal, and you are so upset over this that you're going to ruin a person's livelihood and try to ruin a person's livelihood by giving him 1-star reviews on his business where that is his career, where he makes his money. And you think that's a response that is adequate with what happened to your favorite team. A kid transferred out, and you are going to be such an emotional D-bag that you're going to go out and say, I know what I can do. I can hurt him where it hits him the most, in his pocketbook, and try to ruin his place of business. I hate that. Fans are stupid.
They are. This is toxic behavior beyond all belief. Remember, this is, we saw the Georgia fan base talking about sabotaging a plane before it took off for Nebraska to keep Dylan Raiola from going to his Nebraska visit.
I'm not saying like we do anything bad, but if anybody works at Delta and you're a pilot or you work on the flight crew, can you call in sick so he can't go to Nebraska to take his visit?
Or have a maintenance issue? It's like, are you... What?
Yeah. And you know what that probably did right there? All that did was it made Dylan Raiola's choice that much easier to make.
Yeah.
Like you read that and you're like,
see you later, bye.
Why would I want to go there?
Yeah.
Because those are the same fans that the first bad game I have, they're going to be in my mentions. They're going to be blasting me. Mm-hmm. They're going to, say all the terrible things. They're probably going to, if I decide to transfer, put all my personal information out on the internet, dox me.
Yeah.
Like that's how these people operate. And you're a moron if you do that.
Yeah. And so Reginald Green has decided to combat it by fighting all of the 1-star reviews with saying, stop it. Don't do this because my son chose to enter the transfer portal in football. You live in Oklahoma and have never done business with my office. It's a really bad look for the Oklahoma fan base. Be better.
Absolutely.
And he just started doing that to basically all of them because all of the 1-star reviews that, they have locations tied to them. And you can see Oklahoma when he lives in Missouri.
Reginald Green looks like a sitcom dad.
Yes,
his photo. He looks like a sitcom dad that is like I'm like, yeah. He's sending me. That's TGIF ABC gonna give me all the wholesome fillings when I watch that sitcom, and that's a very adult way to handle this, right? Like you have to do it at some point. Like you have to address all of these, but. Here's the problem is that anybody in Missouri, I don't even know where he's at, Raytown, Missouri. I don't know where Raytown. I'm not big on your Missouri geography. No. I don't know where that is. But anybody that's looking for insurance in that area, this is how the Yelp reviews work, right? His star rating is going to be going down. And most people who are not lunatic college football fans aren't going to know that this guy his rating is low because of Oklahoma fans. If you're a Missouri fan, you should just be going and giving a 5-star review now. Try to cancel it all out. Get that rating back up. But isn't there something that Yelp can just take all of those ratings off, especially now that you have news articles that are out there and he can just point to, look, like, this isn't fair to me. Like, take the ones out that are just vindictive, stupid Sooner fans.
And this happens actually pretty often with not in just situations like this, but just like review bombs.
Yeah.
It's actually happened to a couple restaurants here in Portland over various platforms that they've taken either politically or whatever nature. And
That's
it's
tough.
Like, it is like, part of that comes to the territory of like, don't open yourself up to it.
Yeah.
When you get involved with things, but this is
But
a
there's
little bit
nothing
different.
you can
This
do
is,
because it's how
this
you.
is this is a family member. This isn't.
Yeah.
This isn't you.
It's not you directly. It's not something a decision that your business had made or a stance that your business had taken. This is your son is doing what is best for him, and you are the target. No,
It's all very
that ain't it. But what I am glad of, though, is that a lot of these idiot Oklahoma fans are being exposed for it.
Yeah. And speaking of doxing, this is kind of one of these issues where
Speaking of doxing, Danny's got a story about it.
well, no, I had somebody say something horrible to me during the Miami Heat situation.
Yeah.
I found out where they worked, and I found their boss, and I sent an email to their boss with a screenshot of those DMs.
Oh,
absolutely.
Because did their profile have their work information on it?
Nope, but I found out where they were.
Oh. Because they said something mean about you on the internet?
Oh, this wasn't just mean.
Okay.
Yeah, it crossed a lot of lines.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I wanted to let the...
Did they get back to you?
I got a return email of thanks for the heads up.
Oh, all right.
So
I wonder how that conversation went. I wonder what that person is like not behind a keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, do you think the boss is like, whoa, this is surprising to hear? Or were they like, this is right on par?
But it's one of those things where it's like, you think it's okay to send those kind of things, huh? Okay. We'll find out if your
I can send those
friends,
things
family,
too.
and bosses think that those things are okay to say too.
It would have been great if you'd have looked up his mom and sent his mom an email.
Oh,
Midge at AOL.
You don't think I tried?
.com at Netscape.com.
Trust me. I tried.
I remember one time driving home from the old building in that little nightmare section of turning off of 6th onto 405 to go hit 26, right? And where everybody always tries to wait to the last second to cut you off and get over it. Yeah. So this guy did it one day, and like I was on the ass of the car ahead of me too. There was not room. Like there was a foot between me and the car ahead, and he still went in anyway and almost ran me into the guardrail. So I honked, gave him a double-barreled salute.
Yeah.
Yes. He also then went up onto 26. I managed to pass him. He stayed behind me on my arse all the way up 26 till I got off at Bethany. And then he got off at Bethany alongside me and then went and got back on the freeway. Well, the idiot was driving a company car with the company name plastered all over the side of it. And of course had like one of those, how's my driving stickers on it. So I called and I told them how his driving was. And they said, wow, that's interesting. Then, they're like, all right, well, we're going to have another talk with him.
Oh, that's never a good one.
Yeah.
So that's never a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We're going to have another
talk with him.
Yeah. But situations like this, when you see like people make these reviews, a lot of times they use their actual email addresses.
Yeah.
It's kind of one situations where you hope, maybe their bosses see that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, maybe their family members see that stuff. Like,
this is how they act on the internet.
Look, this is kind of a squirrel moment, but like this is why I never created a burner and why I always attached my name and my photo to my Twitter account.
Yeah.
From the jump.
Yeah.
Long before I started doing media. And it's just like, that whole culture, I don't understand.
I don't get it either.
It's very, very
It's
weird
bizarre to me.
All right, coming up next, there's been a straw poll conducted by Tim Bontemps of ESPN for the NBA MVP at essentially what is the 1/3 poll mark. Where do they stand, and what's different about this year after last year's the upset as Nikola Jokic did not win it and Joel Embiid did. We'll get to that and more coming here on Danny Dusty, Today the Fan.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
Bum, bum, bum.
Who do you think would be number one at this mark in the season?
Well, I mean, this is really interesting because you have a lot of guys that are putting up freakish numbers, and it's actually a really fun year in the NBA to kind of track this sort of thing. But you go down the list of, Jokic is still doing Nikola Jokic things, even though it's not turn it on full steam ahead like he does at the end of every season. You have Luka Doncic, which is his numbers are just through the roof. Joel Embiid is having a phenomenal year as well. And then there's always Giannis Antetokounmpo, where his team has, the second best record in the NBA. And he's going to be lurking despite the fact that, look, he's got a hell of a lot more help offensively than he's had in the years past with Damian Lillard as his backcourt. I mean, there's no shortage of guys that you can look at and say, yeah, they're having MVP-esque seasons. And you look at big moments that we've had early in the season. Anthony Davis too. I know it's just the in-season tournament, but when games actually mattered,
sure. When it was the
championship game
turned up a little bit, yeah,
he actually played really damn well.
Played out of his mind,
but he'll never get that because he's on the same team as LeBron James.
There you go. It's interesting here in the top 12, and there were 100. Excuse me, I said over 100. It was 100. 100 individuals were polled.
100.
Coming at number 12, Rudy Gobert, 1 vote.
Nope. That's just Rudy Gobert's on the best team in the Western Conference right now.
But he also is probably Defensive Player of the Year right now.
And he should be.
If you squint, okay, fine.
Okay.
It's probably a Timberwolves writer. That's fine. De'Aaron Fox at 11 with four total points.
Okay.
LeBron James, number 10 at 11. KD tied for 8th with Anthony Edwards at 17 points.
See, those two guys will be in Durant and LeBron. They're not going to be first third of the season MVPs. They're going to be, if they get back in that conversation, it'll be at the end of the year.
If I talked to a few national media members who have said, what if LeBron in this year averaged 29, 8, and 7? The Lakers finished like they got hot and finished with the 4th best record. Could you see LeBron getting that? And I was like,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's LeBron.
And there's media members that are waiting to give LeBron James in year 20 one more MVP.
You're 21.
Yeah, year 21, sorry. 20. I saw that, what they were just playing the highlights this morning of LeBron James in his very first game in Chicago. It was 20 years ago.
He'll be 39 next week.
What? That's crazy. It's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts.
Yep.
All right, number 7, and this is where it gets really interesting. And I have said this, and people have gotten kind of crazy. Well, he's not that high. Tyrese Halliburton.
Okay.
26 points.
He's got to big prove it.
He does, but he is an MVP caliber player. Easily a top 10 player in the NBA.
And the one thing that's going to hold him back is that they cannot be the 8 seed.
No,
they have to be a top 4 seed in order for him to even be considered in that. Yeah. We've seen that before, right?
This is the first step.
Yeah.
You know, this is when you start kind of putting it together over a couple year period. Like, oh, he's in the conversation.
Yep.
Much like number 6 of the list at 48 points, Jason Tatum.
Yep. There's a big gap, 26 to 48.
Yep. This is when you start
7
seeing,
and 6.
and actually, this is where the massive gap happens at number 5. And I would have this guy higher, having seen him in person now twice. Luka Doncic at 306 points, 6 first place votes. So six first place votes is tied for 3rd.
Okay.
So he is 5th, but he's like, there's a larger number of people who are looking at him as a first place kind of guy. What he is averaging right now is 32, 9, and 8.
Goodness gracious.
He has been phenomenal. Dusty, I'm going to give you a number that should not happen. Do you know what Luka Doncic is shooting on unassisted field goals at the rim? Meaning shots that he creates himself.
I'm going to be quite honest. I don't even know where to start with what a good number would be for that. So why don't you just give it to me?
I'll tell you a good number.
240.
There you go. We're going to need that drop of just give it to me. But a good unassisted number would be like 55 to 59%.
Okay.
Because that's on drives, self-created.
Just give it to me.
You've got
give
one
it to
too.
me all day.
Oh, wow. We got another one to marry it up with now.
Oh, boy.
Luka Doncic is shooting 80.2%.
That's pretty good.
That's insane.
That's really good.
That's record-shattering type stuff.
Okay.
So just to give you an idea
really
of how good he has been. Next on the list, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
140.
Oh, I forgot.
And
him.
here, Shai is my number 2.
Okay.
Because right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder are number 2 in the West, and he has been phenomenal. They are gearing up, Dusty. They may give up everything for Lauri Markkanen to make a real run this year.
Okay.
And if they do that,
yes,
you might see the Thunder make a deep run in the West. This might be their kind of coming out party of this new era of this team.
Okay.
And then your top three. Giannis at 352 votes, and then the big gap again. And Shea and Luka both have more first-place votes than Giannis. 6 apiece, 3 for Giannis.
Really?
At 21 first-place votes and 630 points, Nikola Jokic. Jokic is number 2, and there is a 218-point gap between him and number 1 Joel Embiid. 21 first-place votes for Jokic.
He is leading the NBA in scoring right now.
He had a 51.14 rebound game against those Timberwolves last night, who are number 1 in the West. Embiid was 63, 3 times the number 1 vote count of Jokic. Last year, Jokic probably should have won the MVP. He probably should have won it last year. Right now, my MVP is Joel Embiid, then Shea, then Luka, then Jokic.
See, I think this is interesting right now because, like, who cares what the 1/3 of the season MVP is? But where the media members' minds are at right now, how many times have we seen this with Embiid, though? We've seen this with Embiid where he comes out like gangbusters.
And then health becomes prohibitive.
Yeah. They
and
go
the reason
through that
you're getting
swoon
this
and
kind
then
of
you see the ramp up.
on Jokic is Denver's been good, but they've been injured. Jamal Murray's been out. Jokic has had some human games.
Yeah. And I think what we're looking at, too, 1/3 of the way through the season, we've seen this time and time again. Top 4 seeds in the East right now. Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, Orlando.
There you go.
Right? Boston is a team that we should expect to be there at the end of the year. But again, Jason Tatum is their star, but he's not going to be the MVP type star. No. And that's okay. That is okay. Orlando, are they going to be there at the end of the day as a top 4 seed in the East? Probably not. They'll probably come back to earth, but they're still really damn good.
I think they're going to be right there, like 4 or 5.
And they don't have that star yet.
No, you've got Banchero, you've got Wagner, but it's more a collective than an individual.
Out west, your top 2 seeds are Minnesota and Oklahoma City.
Yep.
Then Denver and the Clippers. Nobody's going to want to give it to anybody on the Clippers right now.
Well, the way Kawhi is playing right now, I bet you if you did this straw poll, because I know when this straw poll was conducted, because I saw the text to go to one of them, I think if you did it right now, Kawhi would be probably 6 or 7. He's been unreal the last 2 weeks.
But I think there is a hesitation with giving it to anybody
because
on
of the
that
health.
team right now, right?
For sure.
And so you're looking at, all right, Denver makes a push. They end up a top 2 seed. Jokic can be right back in that. Embiid, I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, though,
Shea's the dark horse.
That's the one that you look out because they're number 2 right now. If they can hold on and they can be a 2-3 seed, you should be considering Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
If they go get Lowry and they're just pummeling teams, you go, oh. And you see that
and they stop promoting Josh Giddey and start promoting Shea Gilgeous-Alexander more. Yeah, maybe they should do that.
That's helpful.
That's a good idea. They should do that. Like that. Yeah, they should hire me to be their social media manager.
Right. Well, I mean, their social media manager is probably just in hell right now.
Yep.
I would imagine
that
they don't want to promote Josh Giddey, but, it's not their choice. I'm just going to go on a limb and say that person doesn't enjoy getting drugged every single time they tweet about Josh Giddey.
It's going to be a no for me, dog.
Although, maybe they're a masochist.
Maybe.
We don't kink shame here.
I think that is a weird one. But I'm not going to kink shame. No, I'm open to it.
All right, coming up next, it is Thursday afternoon. Even though we won't be here tomorrow, we will make our picks. Come up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Give it to me.
All right, you two Scrooges went 1, 2, and 2.
Yeah, how the hell?
Both of you with kissing cousins. All over the place.
I would like to not thank the Cincinnati Bengals. And I would also like to not thank the Tennessee Titans for my 2 pushes last week.
Gross.
I hate you all.
Gross.
Yeah. 1, 2, and 2.
2, 2, and 1 for me. I am now
Ties. Wait, were you on? You were on that Cincinnati game too. Yeah, the push.
So with that, I am now 40, 30, and 5. You are 34, 39, and 2.
Yeah.
Rust 33, 39, and 3. Just a half game out.
There you are, Russ.
Just right there at the back door.
It's not been going well for me lately.
It's okay. That's them's the gambling's breaks.
That's
it's
how it
where
goes.
you put your units on the games you trust the most.
It's true.
All right?
That's what matters.
All right.
Where you put your unit.
Lead us off, sir.
All right, my first game of the week, I am taking the Colts +2. That is a road dog at the Falcons. My God, how are the Falcons favored in this?
Because they play well at home.
I don't care. They're changing quarterbacks again. Arthur Smith is,
It's going to be the Heineke bump.
yeah, whatever. Give me Minshew magic.
I think they have covered. So they covered the Tampa game at home. They covered against New Orleans at home. Covered against the Vikings at home. I don't believe they covered against Commanders. I think their home cover record. I think they're crushing the line against the spread at home. I don't know. They're the Cowboys.
But I mean,
except for like bad.
2 means that they basically have to win.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking the Colts here.
All right, you're going with the Colts. That's a good pick. I just can't. I've been burnt too many times. It's a abusive relationship
With the Colts?
and Falcons. Actually, Colts have been good with the Falcons. No.
Yeah.
I'm going to go my first game. Lions -3 at the Vikings. I do not believe Nick Mullins. This game indoors. I know it's on the road, but back indoors, comforts. And look, both these teams have a ton to play for. I'm going to go with the getting healthy, getting right. I saw that Gardner Johnson back at practice for the Lions yesterday. But Minnesota, I don't trust Nick Mullins more than I trust Jared Goff. That's a weird thing to say, but I'm trusting Jared Goff in the quarterback matchup. The NFC North, we went through this last week, right? Which quarterback you trust most in the NFC North? It's either Jordan Love or Jared Goff right now, right?
But it's got to be Jared Goff,
Yeah.
right?
Jordan Love's been playing good.
Except for last week.
He played really well last week. Are you kidding? Baker Mayfield just had a perfect quarterback rating. His defense sucked.
Oh, it was 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago he wasn't very good.
Boy, that's a sentence you don't often say much. Baker Mayfield had a perfect quarterback rating.
Yep,
Wow.
on the road.
Been really good this season.
Bruh. Yeah, last week Love was 29-39, 284, 2 tutties, no interceptions.
It's 2 weeks ago that he was a
Yeah,
dumpster
he was bad.
fire. Yeah.
Not good.
My first pick is going to be tonight's game. The Rams 4-point favorites hosting the Saints. I believe, if I remember correctly, Chris Olave is not going to be playing. We'll try to butcher his name, much like Mad Dog. But anyway, give me those Rams. Yeah, Olave. Anyway, give me those Rams -4.
Interestingly enough, the Rams have one of the best defensive QBRs of the season, and Matt Stafford the last 4 weeks has been very good.
Yeah, Matt Stafford, when healthy, still can play that
As
quarterback
long as he's not
position.
pressured.
That's right.
It's because his everything falls apart when he gets pressured.
Well, he turtles because he's
Yes,
old and frail.
He's old and his neck's broken.
Yeah.
Which, not a good thing to do when you're in the NFL.
I feel for these guys now as
As you
I'm
get
getting
older?
older. I'm like, dude, yeah, don't take those hits, man.
You mean when you stood up and you told me,
Don't do-
because your back was on fire?
I didn't. I was just sitting here. I didn't even stand up.
You had to stand up because your back was on fire.
That's right.
Yes. My pick, number 2, Lions -3 at Vikings. I'm going to go ahead and trail you on that one as well. Go ahead and give me. I have quite not so quietly been behind the fighting kneecap biters all season long,
As we all should.
And I think as they're getting healthier, CJ Gardner Johnson is iffy to return, and he would be a massive return for them on the back end of that secondary.
All right, my second pick, I am going to go with the Cleveland Browns -2.5 at the Texans. Do you see what happened? I said this about Joe Flacco, that his statue-ness in the pocket, pass rushers, they didn't really know how to attack him. And I thought
He
that
hits
was
it
an
with the
advantage.
T-Rex.
Do you see what he did last week? He had the most passing yards outside of the pocket of any quarterback since like Patrick Mahomes a year ago, because they just started quarter rolling him out, because all Chicago was doing
Straight rush.
They weren't going upfield. They were just trying to collapse the middle of the pocket. So he said, "Fine, I'm going to take it to the outside," and he just was
old man wheeling, dealing.
Yeah, it was not fast. It was not elusive in any way, shape, or form. But they just moved the pocket outside, and he was just Dyson at the end of the game, especially for the for the Cleveland Browns against the Bears. I'm going to go with that because I trust Joe Flacco more than Case Keenum.
Oh God, yes.
Yep.
What you got, Rusty?
My next game, 2 words: Easton Stick. Buffalo -12 at the Chargers. I don't care. That's 12 points. Give me the
You
Bills.
love those big lines.
I do love those big lines.
Olave is playing.
Is he? All right. Well, whatever. I'm still taking the Rams.
All right.
Yeah.
Olave, Chris Olave.
It sounds like he's being rebooted.
That guy right there.
Goodness. Go ahead and give me the Bengals -3 at the Steelers. This is my two worlds coming together of one, always believing in Mike Tomlin. I no longer believe in Mike Tomlin because he has no quarterback play whatsoever. You can't scrape the bottom of the barrel. The barrel has been scraped. There's nothing else you can do. It's not good. It's bad. But even more than that, I'm buying Jake Browning.
Was that a question?
Yes.
That already bit me in the ass once. I stayed away from there.
That's what I'm saying. I don't like this, but like 16 straight years of Mike Tomlin making the playoffs is a hell of a line. But this is where it finally falls apart, and it's going to be at the hands of Jake Browning. Give me the Bengals -3 at the Steelers.
Kenny Pickett, second in individual drills behind Mason Rudolph today.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph. You can't scrape any further.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins taking on the Dallas Cowboys. 1-point favorites. Oof.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen.
I'm going to take the Dolphins at home in Miami, Hard Rock Stadium. Even though it is not going to be a bad weather game, Dallas has been a completely different team. Even though they got embarrassed, I expect them to be a lot better this week. I'll still go with the Miami Dolphins, Tyreek or no Tyreek.
Yeah, this is kind of the something's got to give bowl because the Dallas Cowboys do not play well against good teams on the road, and we've said this lots of times this season so far. Miami hasn't beaten a team with a winning record since week 3 of last year.
It ends.
Something's got to give, and yes, I think that ends. I'm taking the Dolphins -1.
Boom. I like it. I am going to ride the Browns -2.5 at the Texans. I would go the other way on this if CJ Stroud was playing. He is still struggling. Got knocked out of the game with a concussion. It sounds like he's not going to go this week. That Browns defense is legit. Joe Flacco gives them just enough on that side. 2.5 points, even on the road. Those Browns, man, they're a lot better than people think they are. Go ahead and give me the Browns.
All right. I'm going 2 over-unders for my final. I'm taking the Pats Broncos over 34, lowest total of the week. Not expecting a lot of points, but the last time that we saw a ridiculously low over-under, the Patriots covered in the first half by themselves. So I'm going to go the Pats Broncos over 34.
Indeed.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think Nick Mullins is the closest thing to Eli Manning faced since Eli Manning. So we're going to make it a clean sweep here. Give me Detroit -3 at Minnesota.
That should not make us feel comfortable at all.
No, it shouldn't. Nope. You're welcome.
That sounds terrible. Now my Lions are doomed. I am actually going to go the same way as you did, Dusty, for my last pick. Broncos Patriots over 34. 34 is such an obscenely low number. There's just there is a way. Russell Wilson, there's a way to suck. But I'm going to go ahead and trust that both teams are willing to score more than 17 points.
Oh! My last pick, I'm going Commanders and Jets under 37. I don't know if we'll get to 20. I'm just going to throw it out
We've had
there.
a couple of those this year.
Those Jets still averaging less than an offensive touchdown per game, correct? I want to say, I think they've got like 13.
Well, they got shut out last week, so guessing that's a pretty good one.
I think they have like 13 offensive touchdowns.
Here are the last 5 games, total points for, oh gosh. We'll go back to 7 games. Does that sound good? 6, 12, 6, 13, 8, 6, 0. That is your New York Jets offense over the last 7 weeks of the season. The Commanders have gone, where are we at? 20, 15, 10, 19. They're not getting better. They're getting worse. I'm going to go the under. I actually feel very confident in the under of 37 in that game.
The Black Friday firings are going to be wild this year.
Yeah, Black Monday?
Black Monday.
Yeah,
sorry.
Black Monday firings. Yeah, because you could have Belichick, Rivera both out there. You could see Eberflus being out. We already have Staley out. We already have McDaniels out. Yeah, it could get a little gnarly because a lot of these teams you're going, why would you change your head coach? Patriots and Commanders. Well, it's run its course.
Yes.
It's run its course.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm riding Baker Mayfield. Trevor Lawrence, still concussion protocol.
Yeah,
I see your face over there. Too bad there's music behind it.
You know that.
Trevor Lawrence has not practiced all week, and yeah, otherwise, Buccaneers -2. The Jags have no chance without Lawrence, and they hadn't been playing great with him recently. So give me the Buccaneers -2.
That, ladies and gentlemen, are our picks.
That's how we do it.
Including Jeff Rush riding Baker Mayfield.
Hard.
Hard. Hard. So hard. All right, coming up next, Portland
Somebody
Trailblazers.
else's poll.
No.
The Trailblazers.
No. Strong no. No.
Are favored for only the second time this season. Will this be the time that they actually win as a team being favored? Danny Dustin.
My skin is curling
500 against the spread. Last I checked, they're a tough team. Don't touch the spread.
Don't touch the spread.
Don't touch the spread.
Totals are where the Blazers are.
That's where you live, especially now. The over-unders for tonight's Wizards-Blazers game, 238.
Take that for data.
238.
That's
If you want an insane one, Pacers-Grizzlies tonight is 247.5.
Yeah, that's defense optional.
Holy crap.
Well, so is 238. 238
is a massive line.
big number, and then it's like, 9 more. Indy doesn't play defense.
No.
And without any sort of rim protection, nor do the Memphis Grizzlies.
The Wizards are going to play on a back-to-back tomorrow against the Warriors. That line is 248.5.
Wow.
Holy.
Wow.
Okay. This is all to say the Portland Trailblazers are favored by 4 tonight against
Don't take it. Don't take it. They've favored one other time.
And they against the Utah Jazz.
Lost outright.
When they were coming on a Sega Baba.
Oh, what? Second of a back-to-back?
Yep. Second game of a back-to-back.
Got about 4.5.
4.5.
Right now.
Live line, I'm looking at -4 on the old.
It's going to be DraftKings for the win then.
That's what I'm looking at.
Well, I got on the old BetMGM, which of course powers our Spirit Mountain
Indeed.
Casino sports desk.
Which we can't use here. Just saying.
Yeah, it's DraftKings has it -4.
Yep.
It's where you can play it.
Where you can play it right now. Currently, the Washington Wizards coming to town, and this is something Sprague and I have talked about on Jack Ramsey's all this year. There's a difference between the Blazers and how much they suck, and the Wizards, the Pistons, and the Spurs.
Yeah.
They are a different level of suck.
No, they really are.
Like they are, the Blazers are like, they're trying to build the foundation of a professional team going forward. Defense, teamwork, grittiness, toughness, a tough out, all those kind of things. The Wizards are patently unserious.
Well, Jordan Poole is on their team.
And Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because
Kyle Kuzma's greatest contribution this year is retweeting, quote tweeting people who say, trade Kuzma, why you want me gone?
Yeah.
That's his contribution right now.
I mean, it's a fun little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It's a nice little troll. I like it. So it's definitely down my lane. Jordan Poole, there is a thread on Twitter of who somebody's chronicling the he said it before the season that he picked the Warriors to basically break the 72 win streak in that season. He's like, you just see something different. He said this year coming into the season, we're going to see something we've never seen before. The most unserious team we've ever seen in the modern history of the NBA. And you've seen Jordan Poole slip on a banana peel, essentially, on the floor at full speed. You have seen Kyle Kuzma throw an off-the-glass alley-oop to Jordan Poole in a game they were down 19.
Oh, that ain't it, boss.
I mean, you can just run down the list. Jordan Poole pretending to be engaged in a huddle when he realized the camera was on him.
Yeah. And
after the week before.
Zoning out and then, oh, yeah, hey, I'm
being caught saying, this is my team, I'm going to do it. It's bad. It's all very bad.
Boy, you look at their roster and it doesn't.
There's two pieces worth kind of exploring. One of them is former Gonzaga player Corey Kispert, who continues to show he's a very solid pro with a high floor, and their rookie Bilal Coulibaly, who will end up on an all-rookie team. He has been an interesting little piece.
Neither one of them start.
Nope.
They're just bad.
Daniel Gafford's a solid player too.
Yeah.
A nice young big. But beyond that, I should say Denny Avdia.
Avdia is a guy that when he came into the league, it was
he's a little raw, but you can see what they're working
you can
with.
see those. You can see the pieces there. He's Israeli, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and he played for David Blatt in Israel, didn't he? You had him like in the right spot, in the right system. He could be a real
defensive
contributor,
stopper, playmaker, 3-and-D slasher kind of type.
This is
high level role player. This is
not the roster.
Yeah, no,
because like you're asking him to be something that he is not in a system where you have two guys just trying to play hero ball all game long and say this is what I think the NBA is. They are a very bad team.
Kuzma and Poole play IG basketball.
So do they cover?
I'm going to take them to cover.
We're going to take the Blazers to cover.
Blazers to cover night. As you've heard during Mr. Russ, just fantastic update. Shaedon Sharpe is out with an adductor injury. I noticed I tweeted the other night. I typed in on my phone adductor or and I thought I hit I accidentally hit abdominal. So when I tweeted out, if you see I mentioned abdominal, I meant to put abductor or adductor, excuse me. But he's been dealing with it for a couple of weeks. Even before the poor play started, when he was averaging like 25 a game, he was still dealing with a little something then.
Okay.
So don't be surprised if they keep him out for a little bit. But what's going to be interesting tonight is who the Blazers start. Do they bring Scoot Henderson back into the starting lineup, or do they bring Malcolm Brogdon? Or do they start Matisse Thybulle and go a little bit bigger? Go Ant, Tease, Tumani, Jeremy D.A. and keep Brogdon and Scoot off the bench. I think I'd opt for Tease starting.
Okay.
I think that's the way I would go.
All right. Well, I just placed my single game parlay on the Blazers, -4 because of you, over 238. And I got the alternate Anthony Simons point line at +18.
I was just saying, if it's 18 or higher, or if it's under or 18 or lower, take it.
I'm taking it.
Yeah.
I'm taking the alternate line.
Yeah, he's
done.
Even on his quote unquote bad nights, he's giving you 24.
See, there we are.
So there you go.
That all this segment has done is given me my single game parlay, and I am better for it. Yeah, this Wizards team is bad though, and it will be a fun. One thing it'll be a fun game to watch. I'm not kidding. It's going to be
up
a
and
very
down,
fun game.
Yeah, and I'll be in the building just kind of to see just how dysfunctional the Wizards look. That's something I'm really interesting. Just how after saying all this, after the Blazers beat the Suns, it would be a major kick in the teeth.
To lose this game?
They lost this game.
It would be brutal.
I hope they don't get a little too high on their own supply. Because they're a young team, and
boy, after a 7-game losing streak, it's really hard to get high on your own supply with one
but when you're young and you beat a good team, sometimes you can just, it happens.
You relax. You exhale.
Relax. You learn how to. Yeah, that's part of the learning how to win thing.
Yep. All right. Well, you got to do it against a bad team today.
You do. So there you go. Trailblazers favored for the second time this season. They'll cover, ladies and gentlemen. You can take that to the bank. Now, boom.
Cash it.
There you go. All right, coming up next, make or break season for multiple NFL teams. Who is the most in line for a make or break weekend? Coming up here on Dan and Dusty. First is the Big Good on Sports Center Update.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air, serving Portland, Southwest Washington, and the Gorge. Online at aneheatingandcooling.com. It's hard to stop a train. The things this guy says while I'm doing my ad reads here. First on the Fan, Week 16 in the NFL begins with the Saints at the Rams on Thursday Night Football. Both teams 7-7. The Rams holding the 7th seed in the NFC. That's due to owning the playoff tiebreaker in conference win percentage. 5:15 kick on Prime Video. The Rams are 4-point favorites. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase will miss Saturday's game at the Steelers due to a shoulder injury. He was considered day-to-day after suffering a sprained AC joint in last Saturday's overtime loss to the Bengals, but had not practiced at all yet this week. Steelers defensive lineman Cameron Hayward has been cleared from concussion protocol and is expected to play Saturday against the Bengals. Chargers have ruled out wide receiver Keenan Allen Saturday against the Bills due to a heel injury. Those Chargers have also designated edge rusher Joey Bosa for return from injured reserve. He's missed the last 4 games with a foot injury. Trailblazers get back at it tonight, hosting the Washington Wizards. 7:00 tip on Root Sports. Shaden Sharp is out with right adductor soreness. The Blazers are 4.5-point favorites. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ron Burgundy at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager with our sports book powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your home for bowl games and the college football playoff. The Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
on Twitter, both on my Twitter as well as Dusty Hera's Twitter, at Dusty Hera, at Danny Meringue. You can find, again, Jeff Russ giving us both the double bird for no reason at all.
None.
Oh, no, not at all.
Absolutely.
I was just losing it like Jimmy Fallon in an SNL sketch for no reason.
I don't know. This is why you should watch the show on youtube.com/1080am The Fan, because there was a 4-box shot of Russ giving his update. He has the red light on his mic. And Danny and I weren't saying anything. Our mic lights are off.
Yeah, clearly.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what it could mean.
You guys are both number one in my book.
Yeah.
Tie.
Indeed.
It's a family show, Jeff.
Wonderful. You love to see it. All right. Well, it's winning time in the NFL.
Off the rails.
It's winning time in the NFL, and it's time to ask for get off the pot when it comes to chasing the old playoffs.
Oh, buddy. Look, we outlined this last week about how there were so many teams. When you look at the standings in the NFL playoffs, both the AFC and NFC, you had a cluster where, look, heading into last week, we had 2 teams eliminated from the postseason. Right? You head into this week, and that number has risen to 6 teams that are out of it. But even the Chargers, with the abomination that they are as a football team right now,
still technically alive.
You're telling me there's a chance. But we can sit there, and there are some teams that we could say, all right, look, even though you may have had hope at one point, that hope is dashed right now. I think you could put the Chargers in that. I think you could put the Raiders in that at 6 and 8, just because of the gap that they have to make up. And then you have the Bears are somehow still alive
at 5 and 9.
As are the New York Giants. I don't take either of those teams as serious playoff contending teams. Outside of that, you look at it, you could see in the NFC, Green Bay, Atlanta, New Orleans, Seattle, the Rams, and Vikings are both in it right now.
All within a game of each other.
If they were to start today, 6 through 9 are based on tiebreakers. And we had that question when we were doing our picks, like, how in the world is Atlanta a team that is is favored in a game? Well, hell, they're 1 game out of the playoffs right now. And if they win this week, they're squarely in the thick of it, because New Orleans and LA play each other tonight on Thursday Night Football. The Seahawks have to go on the road to Tennessee, which I don't know what Tennessee team you're going to get, but going on the road after an emotional win in the way that they won against the Eagles, what Seattle team is going to show up? Geno Smith says that he feels like he's going to be back. He's still not quite sure, though. Does anybody have faith in the Vikings hosting the Lions right now? That line is only a field goal, but it's Nick Mullins going up against a team in Detroit that is actually getting healthy at this point. So I trust Detroit a heck of a lot more. You look at all of these teams where we're just sitting there going, Atlanta, how in the hell could they be favored? If they win this week, if the Atlanta Falcons beat the Indianapolis Colts, you could very realistically see them in a playoff position.
Well, here's the insane thing. If the Packers are playing the Panthers, they will very likely win, and they will move to 7 and 8. If the Falcons win their game, they will move to 7 and 8. If the Seahawks drop their game, they will be 7 and 8. If the Falcons beat the Rams, they will be 7 and 8.
And everybody is just trying for
that is 7 and 9 bull.
So
that's what you're looking at.
It is tight. So, but that means if the Falcons lose, they fall 2 games back. If the Packers lose, they fall 2 games back. This is a make or break week. It's either keep pace and keep it all huddled together or fall back 2.
Yeah.
Particularly in the NFC. If you go to the AFC side of things, the Steelers are at 500. The Broncos are at 500. The Texans, even without CJ Stroud, 8-6. The Bills, 8-6. The Colts, 8-6. So even though you have, and the Bengals, 8-6. You have 4 8-6 teams, and you have that cross pollination of games. You got Steelers, Bengals. The Bengals, they win that game, they go to 9-6. The Steelers fall to 7 and 8, and you have real separation for the first time.
The scheduling God smileth down upon us, because on Saturday you have, heading into Sunday, you're going to have teams with a hell of a lot more to play for heading into Sunday, because Saturday's doubleheader is Cincy at Pittsburgh, which right now is your 6 seed versus your 10 seed, and only a game separates them. And the Buffalo Bills play the LA Chargers, and the Bills are sitting at 9 in the standings at 8-6 as well. Like, this is this is that time of the year where everything starts puckering up a little bit more. And we're going to start seeing the deflation come if a team like Houston loses to the Browns, right? If they go and they lose, they're sitting there throwing up their hands going, all right, we're 8-7 now. And this separation on this weekend, week 16 of the NFL has never been greater. And for Cleveland, solidify yourself in a playoff spot, because that would push the Cleveland Browns to 10-5 without Deshaun Watson moving forward the rest of this season.
Again, shows you how good that defense is.
And they could be a 10-win team sitting behind, and not as a wild card team going on the road in the playoffs, because the best damn team in the AFC right now is the Baltimore Ravens.
Alternate universe.
Okay.
Gun to their head, do you think that they would take it all back and have Baker right now?
No,
everything else stays the same.
No. And the reason why is because do you think Baker grows up without that slap across the face and that reality check, right? And I think with Baker Mayfield and all the things that went wrong when he was in Cleveland, you lose the fan base. You have a guy who wasn't growing up. He's sitting behind the Cheesecake Factory parking lot, getting a little woo.
Yeah.
I think he needed that. He is a guy that kind of needed that Texas Tech day, slap you in the face and move on. I truly believe that some people are just wired like that.
That's fair.
But I think the player that you have in Baker Mayfield now, the player that in stretches he was, hell yeah. They would want that. They are in salary cap hell moving forward because of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Thinking about it, again, hypothetical.
Okay.
If this Baker, Tampa Bay Baker, is in Cleveland right now, are they a Super Bowl contender? Does he cross that threshold for you?
No.
For me, he does, because their defense is so good.
No, he's too erratic, and you want consistency.
That's fair.
Right? I think with Baker,
I guess I'm looking more at his, when he is good, he's very good.
Yeah, and he have a ton of weapons that he could get the ball to. But I look at just the teams that are in the AFC ahead of them, right? With Baker Mayfield as a quarterback, do they beat Baltimore? I don't know,
I think it's a hell of a game.
Do they beat Miami? I don't know.
You know what?
I don't think they can.
I think they would beat Miami, but the Baltimore one is...
Miami, with Vic Fangio's defense starting to click, and now that you have, Jalen Ramsey's probably going to be in the slot defending, the variations that they can give you. Ramsey in the slot defending CeeDee Lamb this weekend. You can't create those mismatches. They need Xavier Howard to be healthy, obviously, but they can create mismatches defensively that make it really dang hard with all of these teams that are using their slot receivers to create leverage. They can cancel that leverage defensively. It just takes time to get used to Fangio's system, and they're starting to do it, but they're wholeheartedly better than what Cleveland is right now if they have Baker Mayfield.
Who's your biggest make or break this weekend?
Oh boy, that's really tough. I think that
I've got one that's for a different reason.
I will have two. I'll have Buffalo, obviously, because you're playing an inferior opponent. You're having to go on the road. But if they have another loss, they lose all their tiebreakers.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
They got to win out.
Yeah.
They've got to make a statement moving forward. And you can't afford to stub your toe against a Chargers team like this.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I'm going with is Minnesota Vikings. Vikings at 7-7 right now. If you look at Minnesota moving forward, this is the first of 2 games against the Lions, and the Packers wedged in between. They need to start this thing with a win, because you don't want the wheels to fall off and you lose that faith in Nick Mullins again.
Mine is going to be the Texans.
Hey,
and
Case
that
Keenum
is basically, can you buy enough time for C.J. Stroud to get back healthy, get his legs back underneath him, going into the playoffs, and get him a real rookie year experience as a playoff quarterback and accelerate the process. And I think that is a massive, massive opportunity that if they drop this week, and they might preclude them from the opportunity of getting it.
They would then also lose the tiebreaker with the Buffalo Bills that they have too, because their tiebreaker is coming down to conference record.
Yep. and common opponents, right?
No, it's just your conference.
Oh, just conference?
Your
Okay.
AFC win percentage.
All right, so there you go. Those are make or breaks heading into the NFL week coming up. We'll wrap up the show and wrap things up before we head to a little Christmas break. Danny and Dusty, 10 A The Fan.
Shaden Sharp.
Yeah.
Some eggnog with brandy.
Yes.
And
she's a fine girl.
I will tell you, the room has a certain scent to it now.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I'm gonna taste this. I've never had this.
Go
before.
for it. You'll learn that. Yeah, even from back in my bartending days, I was I had a heavy arm.
I like this. This is good.
Good stuff.
Let me see this.
I will eggnog with bourbon. I've eggnogged with rum. I've never eggnogged with brandy before.
Brandy is my personal preference.
I'm pro
for the nog.
What are you doing? What is this? He just chugged it.
All right.
He's not tasting it. He's just drinking it all. You are going to have a lactose-induced diarrhea midway through your drive.
Good thing I'm only going 15 minutes away.
Poor toilet, 15 minutes away. That thing's gonna be in trouble. You just took it all down.
Hey.
What'd you think? What did you think, Danny?
It was tasty.
Who does not like eggnog, but just
I figured I'd just get it over with.
I wonder how fast that turns into the bubble guts for you. Pounding eggnog is
my stomach is lead lined.
Goodness gracious. That's something. I'm gonna golf clap you on that.
Yeah.
That was impressive. Yeah.
I had to get the first sip to get the consistency. Like, okay, what are we dealing with here, real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
it's good.
Tilt it back and go.
Yeah. Anyway, brandy with your eggnog.
You
Really
know what?
good.
I will
my
say,
favorite.
even though you do have a bit of a heavy pour, it's not overbearing.
Right. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
good stuff, man.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it has a nice little
Don't do that. That's so gross. Why are you doing that?
little cinnamony after.
It's eggnog.
Yeah, but a little. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious almighty.
I feel like this just coated my stomach like Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah, the eggnog is very
You know,
thick.
I'm talking about the commercial where it shows that it covers the lining of your stomach.
And guess what's that going to do to your lead? What'd you say? Iron coated or lead?
Lead coated stomach.
Yeah, your lead coated stomach is going to be lined with eggnog, and it's going to eat right through that lead coating. And you're already starting it. I saw that right there. You had a little eggnog burp.
Burpee.
Hey, just wait till that works its way on down to the other end, buddy, because that's going to happen. Boy, today's been a day, huh?
As the text line says, make sure you don't shade and shark.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. No, you don't.
Never trust it.
No, you don't. And look, he may have an abductor. You're going to have an abdominal issue going on here.
It's going to be a baby shark.
Look, this is the time where
shark do.
Can't take you clowns anywhere. Man. This is the time where I will be signing off for the final time
this year.
Indeed. Yeah. The next time you will hear me on these airwaves will be for the Verbo Fiesta Bowl.
Indeed.
Oregon versus